One Punch Man is no stranger to the mobile platform, having been featured in at least a few different games throughout the years. Nevertheless, its presence on this platform doesn't make it any less exciting whenever another new One Punch Man game releases on the market, which is why we were all hyped to finally give One Punch Man, the strongest, a try when it was released. And long story short, we can safely say that it was definitely worth the wait, especially if you're an RPG enthusiast who also happens to enjoy witnessing Saitama's many exploits in the hit anime show. One Punch Man, the strongest, was released by Moonton, of Mobile Legends fame. This developer is responsible for what could arguably be the largest MOBA game on the platform, vastly surpassing its direct competitor, League of Legends, Wild Rift. This is to say that, when it comes to Moonton, we can expect quality games, and One Punch Man, the strongest, is no exception. Right off the bat, we can safely say that One Punch Man, the strongest, is quite faithful to the show, closely following the events of the anime step by step, from when Saitama had his noble beginnings as a hero, to when he rises up and punched the lights out of even the toughest villains. The only difference here is that Saitama is somewhat relegated to the background, as the character who guides you through the game, particularly since making him the main character would trivialize the entire game. In One Punch Man, the strongest, players must assemble teams by unlocking a wide variety of characters, both heroes and villains alike. There are over 120 characters to find in this game, most of which are obtained by summoning them from the gacha, which in turn is performed by paying special currency that can be grinded by playing the game. And while the titular One Punch Man won't be helping out in battle, players can still put together powerful team compositions that can stand up to any challenge that comes their way. From the most basic villains like Vaccine Man and Subterranean King, to the strongest and largest menaces that threaten to destroy the Earth, you will find, and fight against, many familiar faces in One Punch Man, the strongest. Are you brave enough to rise to the challenge and come out on top? As we mentioned just now, one of the core aspects in One Punch Man, the strongest, is the fact that you can mix and match all sorts of characters to build a wide variety of teams. To this end, it's not enough to just recruit your favorite heroes or villains from the show, but you'll also need to consider many different variables such as their roles, their skills, their stats, and how they mesh together in battle. After all, having a team of only healers and supports will definitely spell doom for you later on. Similarly, focusing only on damage without defense or utility will lead you to failure against the stronger and more resilient enemies. No gacha RPG is ever complete with just one basic game mode, which is why One Punch Man, the strongest, has a variety of them, including the story mode, as well as arenas, trainings, trials, multiplayer co-op, PvE campaigns, and many, many more. Of course, while everything we've been saying about this awesome game is a very compelling offer to download and try it on your phone, the best way to actually enjoy it is by playing One Punch Man, the strongest, on PC with BlueStacks. Our Android app player not only lets you play this game on your computer, using your large computer monitor, but it also gives you the very best performance and visuals, as well as access to a variety of tools to enhance your gameplay even further. And this is without saying that, by playing on BlueStacks, you effectively avoid all the problems that come from gaming on phones, such as battery drainage and device overheating, to name a couple. To get started with playing One Punch Man, the strongest, on your computer, feel free to check out our PC setup guide for this game, in which you can find instructions on how to download and install it in just a few simple steps. Let's just get right to the point. One Punch Man, based on the wildly popular webcomic of the same name, does not disappoint. It's a 1-2 punch of hard-hitting action and comedy, and well worth checking out. What makes One Punch Man so effective is how its premise turns the most common shounen trope on its head. Instead of struggling to become the best in the world, salaryman-turned-superhero Saitama struggles to find a worthy opponent in battle. As The Strongest Man shows, his entire city is overrun with all sorts of bizarre monsters, yet none of them can withstand a single punch from him. Rather than feeling a sense of satisfaction from being undefeated, Saitama, who's trained so hard his hair has fallen out, feels only boredom. Isn't there a single monster who can withstand his fists? That's not to say the battles are boring. On the contrary, snappy direction and aggressive enemies make some of the fights look like a close-run thing. Until of course One Punch Man blithely appears from the wreckage and destroys his opponents with a vicious right hook. On any other show these fights might make for some heavy viewing, they can be surprisingly gruesome, but luckily One Punch Man's KOs are accompanied by a great bit of comedic timing, which keeps the tone light and prevents the viewer from thinking too hard about a monster's innards being spilled all over the place. Much of One Punch Man's humor comes from the wonderfully bizarre character designs. Examples include a monster with a car engine for a head, an underpants-wearing crab, and a boy whose chin looks like, well, let's just say his chin could use some underpants, too. Some of the jokes may be a little lost on Western audiences, however. There are clever references to things like Japan's low birth rate and the drudgery of being a salaryman, but these jokes may fail to land with those not already familiar with Japanese culture. Even so, the humor behind Saitama's ongoing search for a worthy opponent is immediately apparent no matter where a person is from. The animation quality is solid, and I appreciate how Saitama's eye shape changes depending on how a fight was going. If he's serious, they're drawn in sharp detail and with intensity. If he's bored, they're funny little wedges that make him look spacey. It's a smart way to communicate whether or not the audience should be worried about One Punch Man and Japan's safety. As expected of a shounen series, the music is laden with head-banging guitar riffs and heavy drums that make me feel stronger, or at least cooler, for having heard it. I especially like the frenzied opening Shindahai, which fits the over-the-top action perfectly. One Punch Man's first episode is a great mix of action and comedy, supported by original, weird, character designs and solid animation quality. If you're looking for the next big thing in anime, this is it.